We turn now to the latest with Sean Diddy Combs at an after party back in 2000. Both men have denied all wrongdoing. With Sean Diddy Combs at an after party back in 2000. Both men have denied all wrongdoing. Jay-Z's attorney holding a closed-door meeting with select members of the media yesterday, insisting, quote, this never happened.
And joining us now is ABC News contributor and attorney Brian Buckmeyer for more on this story. Good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So Jay-Z's attorney has outlined what he believes are inconsistencies in the accuser's account of what happened. Break it down for us.
Yeah, so the major pillars I would say would be location, witnesses, details, and timeline. Location being that this allegedly started off at Radio City, and according to the alleged accuser, she said that she was in the car for 20 minutes before getting to Sean Combs' house where the after party was hosted, to a large white house in a U-shaped driveway. Now, if you're from the New York area and you know where Radio City is, 20 minutes in any direction does not get you to that kind of real estate. And that's what the attorney is pointing out here. Witnesses. The accuser again says that she saw specific people at that after party, but people were saying, no, this person was touring. The witnesses, the alleged accuser's own father says, I don't remember picking her up after a 5-hour drive from Rochester to New York after this night. And then details. She's saying that she watched the show on the Jumbotron, where on the VMAs of that year, there was no Jumbotron, and the timeline as to how this all could have occurred, the attorney is saying it doesn't match up based on where people were at specific times.
I'm curious your thoughts, because Jay-Z's attorney met with select members of the media. It was a closed-door meeting. What do you make of this strategy?
Well, initially, where were we in this closed meeting? That's what my thoughts are, right? But I think it's smart because this is a situation where it's not only in the court of law, but also the court of public opinion. And I think Alex, the attorney, is really pushing back on the court of public opinion to try to help the court of law arguments, because when you look at the timeline, you look at the details, yeah, there are some inconsistencies.
And the accuser has acknowledged some.
The courtroom was electric with tension as the case between Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs began to unfold. Accusations like these are always bound to attract attention, but this one had a particular weight to it. A woman had stepped forward, alleging that in 2000, when she was only 13 years old, Jay-Z was involved in a disturbing incident. The claims were explosive, but Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Bureau, was ready, strategically deconstructing the story bit by bit.
Incident that has allegedly happened September 7th of 2000. It comes down to just the credibility of individuals. And people have issues with memory. It makes sense. I don't remember what I did on September 7th of 2000. But when some of these inconsistencies just go against the idea of just like geography, timeline, a fact that a father didn't even remember this, that's where I think there's some real issues for Tony Busby and the accuser's claims.
It's got to be a big blow for the case.
I would imagine so, but these aren't legal filings. This is just maybe a precursor to that. So we have to see what Alex Spiro ends up filing in court and what the response is from the Tony Busby and the accuser and what the court decides.
When you look at the language from Jay-Z's attorney, it seems they're really trying to distance themselves from Diddy at this point. How important is that relationship between these two men?
It's everything. I mean, when I first thought about this, I thought to myself, what are all the sayings that we have just in our culture about guilt by association, show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are, birds of a feather flock together. At this point, Sean Combs is toxic from a legal standpoint in terms of his association with all of these civil lawsuits and a federal criminal investigation. So if you're a close friend of his, especially in the period of time when these allegations existed, you're definitely going to be looked at under a microscope. And so what Alex Spiro is doing is saying, hey, yeah, they're close friends, we admit that, it's public knowledge, but that friendship stops when we get to this whole free.
Spiro addressed reporters before heading into court, his tone sharp and confident. He wasted no time outlining glaring inconsistencies in the accuser's account, arguing that her story wasn't just flawed. It was probably false. According to the lawsuit, the alleged incident took place in a large white residence with a U-shaped driveway following the MTV Music Awards. But as Spiro pointed out, photos and timelines revealed that both Jay-Z and Diddy were at a nightclub after the awards. There was no mansion, no driveway, no party, none of it lined up with reality.
That found inconsistencies with the accuser's account.
We expect Mr. Carter to be fully cleared of all of this in the coming days. Almost nothing that she says has checked out because this never happened.
This in the wake of our interview with a 38-year-old mother from Alabama.
Want to come forward because I think that I've been quiet long enough.
She says that she might have some facts wrong, but that she says the incident happened. What do you say to that?
You know, anybody, when they make up a claim, they can just keep repeating it and getting it right. But you never get the details right. And what happened during her interview with you is that the story began to unravel.
On the night of the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000, she says Combs' limo driver took her to an after party. There she says she spoke to musician Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to
false narratives,
Benji Madden about
exploiting the legal process to generate media attention and damage
In a
Mr.
statement to
Carter's
NBC
reputation.
News, a representative for the Maddens
lawsuit in
confirmed
America,
they did.
as an attorney, you must have a good faith belief on why you're filing the lawsuit. You must. Busby better hope he has a good faith belief on why he's filing this lawsuit, or a federal judge will destroy
Father who picked her up.
We rode home in silence. She didn't ask me what happened.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not corroborate her story. I feel like I would remember that, and I don't, he said. The woman revealed to us that she has autism and previously suffered a head injury. In a follow-up phone interview, we asked her about the contradictions, and she said that she stands by her statements.
This woman is standing by her story. It happened over 20 years ago. Maybe her memory is hazy. Maybe her father doesn't remember that night.
No, she's doubled down on certain of these details. She says, I'm positive. She points out the tattoo. She talks about the tattoo in vivid detail. Turns out that's completely false. And the father is supposed to be picking her up. 10-hour drive, round trip to pick her up in the middle of the night. Has no memory of that. No one has come forward about this in nearly a quarter of a century, and that's because this never happened.
Spyro said he's not only seeking justice for Jay-Z, he says that he also wants to expose the accuser's attorney, Tony Busby.
He takes away the voices from real victims and he causes real harm. If this lawyer has any sense, he's going to dismiss this claim.
The woman had claimed she sneaked out of her home in Rochester and traveled 5 hours to New York City to watch the MTV Music Awards on a jumbotron outside. However, Spiro uncovered another major issue. There were no permits or records showing the existence of any jumbotron at the event in 2000. The question remained, how could she have watched something that simply wasn't there?
Busby, who has filed more than 20 lawsuits against Combs, told NBC News that he is continuing to vet the accuser's claims and that she has agreed to undergo a polygraph this week. A representative for Combs called the suit a shameless money grab.
Since your attorneys refiled the lawsuit against Combs naming Jay-Z, he has come out with a very long statement saying that this is completely not true and that this is all about trying to get money from him. What do you say about that?
I haven't asked for a dime from him. It's not everything is motivated by money, and I'm sorry that he feels that it is.
This woman also told us on camera last week that this isn't about money.
Well, let's be serious. A lawyer like this is not sending out these letters not to make money. He wants money and fame. He doesn't care about truth and justice. And that's what's going on here.
Chloe Malas joins us in studio. So, Chloe, explain this to me. The attorney for the plaintiffs, Tony Busby, right? He is sticking by his client even though you've been able to report these inconsistencies and they are now out there in the public?
Yes, and because of our exclusive report here on Top Story, he's actually going to have Jane Doe do a polygraph test. He says he hasn't done it yet, but that they are going to be doing it this week. He also said in a statement to us moments ago that their conduct throughout all of this has been beyond reproach and will continue to be, even though that's not what you're hearing Alex Spyro, Jay-Z's attorney, what he's saying. Also, I just want to show you, Jay-Z's team created a timeline. Obviously, even though this took place allegedly 24 years ago, right? They are saying that there is just no way that he could have been at the VMAs. He's on camera there until the end of the VMAs, which ended right after 11, and that there are photographs of him at the Lotus Club in Manhattan, and they say he was there till 3 a.m. and then he went to the music studio. So again, they are adamant that
he was not at that party.
That he was not at any sort of after party.
I do want to ask you this. What is Jay-Z's sort of legal team strategy in describing the relationship between Diddy and Jay-Z? Because there are a ton of photos of them over the years, obviously before these allegations came out.
And this civil suit, Tom, originally just named Combs, and then it was amended last weekend to include Jay-Z. What Alex Spyro said to me today is that although publicly Jay-Z supported Diddy, they were not best friends. They were not as close as you thought that they were. So in terms of knowledge of what went on allegedly at these white parties and what took place allegedly in these civil suits and the criminal charge and the trial, he says Jay-Z has no knowledge of any of that. Again, he publicly supported him as a fellow musician and someone where they came up together in the industry, but that they weren't as close as you thought.
The timeline was just as problematic. To make it to New York City by the time she claimed, she would have had to leave her house by 3:00 p.m. An impossibility, especially considering her story of sneaking out undetected. Then, there was the issue with her father, who she said drove from Rochester to New York to pick her up from a gas station. Spiro highlighted that her father didn't recall making such a trip, further adding to the cracks in an already shaky narrative.
That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z, one of whom is at the age where her friends will see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims at a Video Music Awards after party in 2000. In a blistering statement, Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree?" He added, "My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people." Joining us now, Joey Jackson, CNN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. There's a lot to unpack here. Joey, I want to start with just the statement from Jay-Z, which is so forceful in its denial. I just read a teeny part of it. It's long, where he says that they should file a criminal complaint. Is that even possible at this point?
So based on the allegations, Jessica, good morning. Good to see you. I think that it certainly could be. Why do I say that? Now, he, of course, is more than annoyed, would be an understatement. He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, hey, come after me criminally, that could be likely. Why do I say more than 24 years ago? But in the allegations, there's a few things. Number one, what that means in English is that it's saying that he held her down, raped her, and that, of course, the allegation is that Mr. Combs did the same thing. And so if those facts are actually accurate, it would require an investigation by prosecutors. And if true, right, you could pursue it criminally. Now, with respect to evidentiary value, yes, it happened 24 years ago, right, more than 24 years ago. But in the allegations, there's a few things. Number one, there's allegation that another celebrity was present at the time, right, in addition to other people. Number two, there's the claim by the victim, right, that she left, that she went and she was seen by a gas attendant who saw her in distress. Number three, that she phone called her dad, who showed up, the 13-year-old, and now removed her. So civil complaint, simply allegations, needs to be proven in a court of law, but if true, it could rise to the level of criminality, and, you know, we'll see what happens, or if the DA looks and investigates.
So what happens now?
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint, and in a civil complaint, it goes through the